Hey, welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the channel. I've got a special guest with me named Pulse.Domains. This is a project that just launched on the PulseChain. It's been very popular over the past couple of days, and he was nice enough to come on my channel. The founder, I believe, of Pulse Domains. Basically, what this is, guys, huge developments in the PulseChain space. You can now mint your own .pls domain. I'm sure everybody already knows about this. That's in the community, but if you're new here and you haven't heard about this already, you're going to want to go to Pulse.Domains. Just go to that website right now, claim the domain for whatever business you might have, whatever screen name you might have, assuming it's not already taken. And if it is already taken, you might have to go buy it on an NFT marketplace or something. But this is basically giving human readable addresses to all of cryptocurrency. So you remember the trend with .eth domains. This was a couple of years ago. The Ethereum name service started this, but PulseChain has its own version. It's a fork of Ethereum name service, except it's actually affordable to do this. And the whole vision of what Ethereum was supposed to be is coming to fruition over on PulseChain. So this is just one piece out of many awesome critical pieces of infrastructure. You know, we're collecting all the infinity stones here, and PulseChain is really going to be, you know, a cheaper, faster, better Ethereum. And it's really turning out to be that way. So, you know, I've got cryptocoffee.pls, and you can tip me or whatever. You could pay me at the address cryptocoffee.pls. For example, rather than me having to say, hey, pay me at 0x1234 ABCDE, because I mean, let's be honest, that's a huge hurdle in cryptocurrency. You know, a long string of letters and numbers is a terrible user experience. And, you know, having to copy and paste that everywhere, and then you're worried if you got even one little number or letter wrong, or even one is uppercase instead of lowercase, it can be just not very user friendly. So this is a big step forward, one of the big kind of paradigm shifting moments. Now, there's a lot of awesome projects out there, but we're just going to talk about Pulse.Domains today. You know, people have been rushing to buy these. I've kind of not been going too hard on them. I bought maybe 20 or 30, but you know, we've seen people claiming hundreds of them and just spending all day and all night. Some people are trying to flip them, which I don't think you're going to get crazy money for these in the near term. But if you buy some 3-letter domains or 4-letter domains, you know, some people are speculating that in 5 or 10 years, that'd be like if you bought, you know, pets.com in 1995, right? These are the new domain names for the new next generation internet that we're building right now. So the true Web3 internet, Pulse Domains kind of enables that. So yeah, did I do a good job explaining that, or what? How would you call Pulse Domains?
Hey, what's up, Coffee? Honestly, I think you did an outstanding job explaining all of it. So great job on that. We can obviously go into all of the details, into smaller details, but I think you gave a really excellent overview about the main point of on-chain domains, and really explaining also some of the features that we built on top, such as the profiles and so on. So yeah, great job, man.
Yeah, no, I love this comment right here. Thank you. Dixon says he wants to buy one, but he's worried that Hextronaut is going to start tracking his wallet. And this is true. This is one really important point, guys. If you buy a Pulse domain, try to fund it with fresh PLS. Maybe even experiment with potentially, I'm not saying go use it, but if you want to put a small amount of PLS in like ZKZX, for example, to fund a fresh new wallet, that would make it untraceable. Otherwise, you know, you could have a friend of yours send you PLS so that it's not connected to any of your old wallets. But these addresses are de-anonymizing, right? So it's your public-facing wallet. One of the advantages of crypto is that it's semi or pseudo-anonymous. But in certain cases, like if you run a business or if you have a charity donation address and you don't care, you want it to be transparent. If you have a business or even just you as a personal brand, it might not be a bad idea to try to fund a fresh wallet and get that funded. I don't think we have a good faucet right now, unfortunately, but you can try those anonymity softwares, very experimental, such as ZKZX.
Exactly. And I think, oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, and really to hammer down on the point, we've done a good amount of education around that. Of one, if you are public facing and you want to have an on-chain profile that is also associated with your Twitter or a Twitter name or your real name and so on, just treat that name and that address as public knowledge, you know, so it's like that will be visible. But if you have a wallet that you don't want anyone to see, but you still want a .pls name, you could also call it, I don't know, Kitty Cat 55, for instance, that no one really would know the connection to it, right?
Someone's going to go buy that one right now.
Maybe it's already bought. I don't know. I'm just seeing a couple of actually on the tool that someone just developed a couple of days ago is PNS ideas, and you can kind of like see all of the names that are currently being registered on a minute by minute basis. So so far I'm not seeing Kitty Cat, but the second I'll see it, I'll let you know, guys.
Awesome. Yeah, dude. Someone probably does own bigpp.pls. Any kind of dick joke has probably been taken. Fun fact, you can throw emojis in there too. So all the 9-inch guys, you can do your eggplant emojis. I was about to buy diamond hands, like the emoji diamond and then the word hands. And then someone else bought it. And I was like, damn, maybe I should have got that. But there's so many creative options you could do with numbers, letters. Just so you guys know, also, I did see some people making this mistake where 5-letter domains are only $5. It's like 40,000 Pulse. It's not that much. Yeah. 4-letter domains are $130, I think. And then 3-letter domains are $555. So if you're buying a 3-letter domain, make sure you're checking the price tag on that. I saw like one guy was like surprised, like he wished he didn't spend $500, right? He thought they were all the same price. So just be careful out there when you're minting these, if you want to mint them. And it matters for some people. Some people might not care. What I just want to ask you though is, why should people care about this? Like, what are some of the use cases that you don't see people talking about yet that might happen in the future?
Yeah, I think we're still seeing the very early innings of Web3 and the new version of the internet. I think in the past we had centralized entities that pretty much own everything, be it in this case the Facebooks, the Twitters. They own all of your data. You essentially use it for free. And similarly with domain names. So traditional domain names like the .coms, .xyzs, .cos, .ios, they're all owned pretty much by one centralized entity called ICANN. If they don't like you for whatever reason, they can essentially shut down your website, and that's pretty much it. In the Web3 domain space, we are moving towards a decentralized world where you essentially start owning your own data as well as your own domains. So in this case, it's like with Pulse domains. Once you mint a domain name, it's truly yours on chain, cannot be changed. If you choose to connect it to an IPFS website, to essentially host an IPFS website, that also cannot be changed, modified, or even shut down by anyone, right? So here we're seeing like a larger trend, especially with crypto in the past 4 or 5 years with new technologies that ultimately allow you to enter the decentralized world where there is no middleman, where there's no ways to shut you down, where there's no way of, censoring your speech. And Pulse Domains is just like one tool, especially for interacting with the Web3 world, to make it much easier, right? So now in the beginning, we're talking about your address equals a domain name, but then in the future, we're talking about, or actually now, we're seeing more and more applications integrating the PulseChain naming service into the applications. So now, for instance, if you go to Go Pulse, for instance, you could just like type in your domain name and it will pull up your address. Pulse Coin List, also a site that we operate. You could also type in your domain name and it will pull up your address. If you go to Petias, the second you connect your wallet to it, it will show your address. And these are small little things that people take for granted nowadays because they're so used to the Web 2 experience. But now we are essentially delivering the Web 2 experience truly in Web 3, fully decentralized, fully owned by you and modified by you. So we're still very, very early, but I think in the future, especially with seeing like some of the protocols changing, we believe that in the future you will have sign-on with Web3 domain names, where you might have a decentralized Twitter where you essentially log in with one account that you own or one NFT that you own, and followers are following directly you on chain rather than the platform. So again, we're still very, very early in the entire game, but I see where the future is heading, especially with the environment we live in.
That's cool. Yeah. It's about owning your own data. It's about censorship resistance. It's ICANN owns all the .coms, and so if the DOJ decides they don't like what you're doing, they can. We've seen that happen before. Tornado Cash website, things like that. You've got a prototype model up, and I know you mentioned other PulseChain apps. So we've got like Pateas.
Oh yeah. So exactly. So we just launched 8 days ago. So we've seen a couple of integrations already happening. HEX Scout is, I believe, currently working on theirs. Patia is already integrated. Pulse Wallet is, I think, semi-integrated. Internet Money is also in the works of getting that up. We have also, maybe I'll tease it at a later point, but some other integrations that are currently being worked on. So, and all again, we just launched 7 days ago, and seeing the resonance from the PulseChain and Hexagon community, as well as outside of the community, such as getting shout outs by Ivan on Tech and so on, really shows that PulseChain as its whole is becoming bigger, is becoming a chain that is also recognized because we have the foundation as well as the tooling that we're building on top of PulseChain. So yeah.
Yeah, this is like step one in many. So now that you've built it, now that it's out there, it's up to all the other builders of Web3 infrastructure to update their protocols. Because like MetaMask, for example, if you want to try to send money to cryptocoffee.pls on MetaMask, that integration is not done yet. Of course, they've done the .eth integrations, but they haven't done .pls. And so now we've got to rely on PulseChain friendly wallets such as Internet Money. It'd be nice to see Rabby integrate that as well, because I know they're PulseChain friendly, but we can't really necessarily rely on MetaMask to prioritize PulseChain stuff. This is where we got to build our own new infrastructure and build a new ecosystem that we want to see. But one cool thing about Pulse domains, so people might not understand what their potential is, but you can actually tie certain data into your Pulse domain, like your website data, your social media accounts, your NFT collection is made public, and also obviously your Ethereum or your PulseChain donation address.
Yep.
You can also tie a profile picture to it, and you can put that up on a pre-existing app that you guys built already. It's pls.fyi.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so the whole point, when we launched, we also wanted to have a couple of experiences that people can already use and play around with. I'm also sharing my screen. If you want to bring that up, I can kind of like share how it looks like, and also have your profile up, right? But with every domain name that you buy, you're essentially getting an NFT, an 1155 NFT, but it is different from any other ones. This NFT allows you to input data into it, and it's fully on chain, right? So in this case with hello.pls, here I included a Twitter handle, a Telegram handle, a YouTube handle, and so on. So basically I wrote data onto that NFT that is now living on chain and can only be modified by me because I'm holding the keys to this particular address, right? And then one of the things that we built on top of it, we built a front end that takes all of that data and pulls it on chain and shows it to you in a more nicer way with a better URL structure that you could essentially share. You could use it as your include it in your Twitter profile so people can check out all of the different links, as well as an easy way to essentially receive tips, right? And I think one thing that I want to, and here's your profile that I just pulled up, cryptocoffee.pls.fyi. And I think something that is really not seen a lot, but especially if you think about the HEX movement or the early beginnings of HEX, HEX became really big not only because of the awesome code and Richard Hart and so on, but also because of a lot of individuals like you, Coffee, of taking out your time, streaming on a weekly or daily basis, and educating people around all of the things that HEX has to offer, as well as PulseChain, right? And here now you have essentially, one way, a decentralized way for you to, or for any followers to check out all of the links that you have. And then also, if you created a cool video, I would love to tip you, $5 or $10 or even like $1 without YouTube super chats taking 20 or 30% out of it, right? Again, this is a way to support other community members that essentially go out of their way, create content, build websites, or are active in Telegram chats. And this is just like, one way that I found very, very important to continue to support the entire community so we can actually support each other and grow together.
Yeah, it's awesome. What I think, first of all, what's up, SJ in the chat there, and Hector the Protector, and Alden just wants a price prediction, lol. Maybe we'll get to that at the end.
Of course.
3 penny pulse, 3 penny pulse. We got to envision it, guys, manifest it. No, look, so cryptocoffee.pls it's like a trendy thing to put on your Twitter name, right? You could make this your Twitter name. That was the whole trend that the Ethereum boys were doing.
Exactly.
And now we've got our own version of this, and it can go viral in the sense of it builds like a community identity. Like this really is a digital identity for you.
Exactly.
This is your domain on the blockchain that you own, and you can put whatever you want in here to a degree. But really, it just also looks cool when you've got a whole bunch of people out there with .pls in their Twitter handle bios, and it just makes us look like an organized, the grassroots movement that we truly are. It just helps give us a name and a digital identity. Now, I've heard, this is one thing I've been trying to understand, is that I've been hearing that one day you could tie like an IPFS domain to a .pls website and then host your own decentralized website on the blockchain, kind of like Vitalik.eth. Could you give us an example of what that looks like? Or
that day has come already. So for instance, I'm clicking into hello.pls, and what I did here is if I go to edit, I included my decentralized website hash into here. So, and now if I take let me do hello.pls.to, it basically redirects to my IPFS hosted website. In this case, it's the scan that I used, right?
Oh, and now so why is that the TLD?
Yeah, the TLD for TO is basically, we used a workaround where we basically used the traditional domain name system, but then used our gateway to resolve for that. So for instance, if you go to PulseChain right now, they offer you, let me go to scan.pulsechain right now. So they're using their own gateway, which is mypinata.cloud. And there's also other gateways, like in this case, DWeb, and there's also MWave and so on. But ultimately, on the user experience, this is basically the URL structure for that, right?
Oh, that's such a cool Easter egg, because I actually made mine. I linked mine to go.hex.com. So if you go to cryptocopy.pls.to, I actually didn't know how to do that until just now. So thanks. Yeah. So this is just a backup link.
Here we go. Yep.
go.hex.com. Nice.
Exactly. So we're still accessing the IPFS website. This website is truly decentralized. However, the URL is now easier to read for anyone, right? And I think
that's a gateway. That's an IPFS gateway.
Exactly. Yep.
How cool is that? Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it is basically hidden in our documentation. We haven't really talked too much about this, but I think with more IPFS websites coming up, I think this becomes a use case for more and more people, especially when we think about that PulseChain now is fully, running on IPFS sites, or basically all of the official PulseChain websites, like PulseX and the scanner and so on, they all run on IPFS. So yeah, I think this overall will enhance the user experience, and overall makes it. I mean, if I talk to a no coiner and tell them, hey, just open this URL, people will be like, what the F? What is it?
Yeah.
But if we have, I don't know, scan.pls.to, which we resolved for it as an example, this will be the experience, for instance, right? And again, the entire URL structure functions, right? So you have transactions here, you have like blocks and so on. So it doesn't look like, gibberish to the newcomers in this case, right? So here we have the full address and so on.
Awesome. Yeah, and just to answer that's so cool. I mean, I didn't know you guys were also an IPFS gateway, so that uncovers a big question of mine. Jake is wondering, does MetaMask support PLS? No, they do not support PLS domains yet. Internet Money's working on it, Pulse Wallet, and I would probably guess Rabby Wallet would integrate this even before MetaMask does. But if you want MetaMask to do all the supporting of these new features, go make some noise on their forum, on their support forum, because we've got as we've voted this one prioritization item so high. So if you go to the MetaMask forums, on the very top of their list, it's got like 250 upvotes, where it's all of us just yelling at them to go support PulseChain. Like, what are you guys doing? You need to help support PulseChain as a native network. Like, just like you did for Base, just like you did for Linnea, right? Why are they getting special treatments? So if MetaMask does what their users want them to do, theoretically they could add this and prioritize this feature, but we can't necessarily rely on that, which is why we've got people like KG and Internet Money making sure that that's going to be integrated. So this is step one. Pulse.domains is step one of the actual technology reaching its full potential. And it is yearly. Yeah, if that's a question, that's correct. It's a yearly subscription, but you can also pay for 5 years at a time. I think for a bit of a a deal, a discount.
Exactly. And the reason, and you touched on so many really interesting points that I have not heard anyone else talk about. But so when it comes to MetaMask, like our documentation, everything is done, right? So you could essentially go to our docs page and integrate as you will, right? With MetaMask, obviously they are a little bit biased. Especially with having the RPC settings for PulseChain. This is why the community is now, blowing up their support tickets, but it's essentially upon them to integrate, right? So maybe it will happen tomorrow, maybe it will happen in 10 years, who knows, right? It's really, really upon them to essentially integrate. And then going back to the other point that you touched on, now we have essentially PulseChain native or applications that are PulseChain friendly that will most likely be open to a PulseChain integration or a PNS integration, right? So we're talking about internet money, we're talking about Rabby wallet and so on. So these will be the first places to essentially explore and having an integration before we go to, MetaMask or CoinMarketCap, for instance, because they're just really biased, right? But this is usually kind of like the space we're currently in. We have players that are very, very biased towards certain chains and so on, even though they could essentially integrate within a day.
Yeah, that's just going to happen though. I mean, and that luckily we've got some of the best builders, some of the smartest people over on our blockchain building awesome stuff. Like, I mean, even in the NFT space, I think we've got these NFTs that are like nothing I've ever seen before. And even in the DeFi space, we're forking all of the relevant protocols. It's just like a wide open playground for new people to build. So, Manny wants to know, is there yearly hosting fees? And the answer is no. It's a one-time fee for the year, but every year there's another. Is it always going to be like a $5 worth of Pulse?
Exactly. If you get the domain name for $5, it is a yearly renewal. And the rationale behind this, because there are some domain name providers where you buy one domain and you own it forever. We looked at both models, and an adoption rate, as well as the rate of new people coming in. And what you usually see is that those models where you just buy a domain name and you hold it forever, those providers don't see the same growth and the same growth of new users over time, because you essentially have the day one guys buying all of the domain names and hogging them forever. This does not allow new people that want a domain name to enter, essentially. But now, if you essentially, bought 1,000 domain names, every year you're basically saying you're basically being reminded of like, hey, you either have to renew them, or they will essentially go into auction for the open market to essentially bid against on, right? And also, if you buy a domain name and you lose your wallets in this case, and if you own a domain name forever, that domain name is gone forever, right?
That's very smart.
But here with the yearly renewal, it allows people to essentially, if they don't have the keys to it, to take that NFT and it will be back into the market, right? So there's a multitude of benefits of having the yearly renewal versus owning it forever. Yep.
That's amazing. Yeah, because nobody likes domain name squatters. I mean, there's people that just do this all day long, but when it comes time to actually buy the domain for a purpose, sometimes it's hard to find that. So I'm glad there's a yearly auction, because it gets expensive to squat on that many domains, right? Like, chances are after this first year, a lot of people that are squatting will just kind of forget that they have them, and then they'll just go back on the market.
Exactly. And everyone else gets the chance to buy that domain name for $5 again, right? So there's a reverse auction that takes place that goes from $100,000 down to $5, and people essentially during that time can bid for that domain name. And I think just overall for network growth, that's a really, really good feature to have. And then also one other really, really good feature to have is other builders building on top of the PNS domains. For instance, as someone just mentioned, Friendtech, the Friendtech fork that we now have on PulseChain. That essentially Pulse domains enabled that application to make more sense and to be user friendly. Right before that, it wouldn't make sense to have a Friendtech fork, but now you basically see all of the domain names of every individual in that ecosystem, and then on top of that, something that someone just essentially created is this particular website which is pnsideas.com. So that ultimately shows all of the domain names that are currently being minted, gives you ideas on like what names to essentially to mint on.
Oh, cool.
And
yeah.
It's really, really cool to see builders in the ecosystem building on top of PNS domains and essentially providing more utility to the end user. Right here, I would like to shout out to Donnie D, who essentially created this entire website within 3-4 hours or so, and has a couple of features. You could essentially play around with this and get domain name ideas from here. But yeah, we love seeing this. And we're also slowly exploring ways how we could strengthen the builder community, and then also offering the builder communities more tools as well as credits and perks to get started faster and build more cool things on PulseChain. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to that Donnie D guy. I mean, that website went up so fast. I don't know how he did that in that time. The Pulse Dolphin is kind of creative, but yeah, I want to focus on Riddick's comment here. Crypto socials, right? We've got Friends Tech, which some people might say was kind of a fad on the base blockchain, but we've got a fork of that now called Friends with 2 Z's. It's all experimental, right? But it's hard to do crypto and it's hard to do social networks. And so it's like double hard to try to combine those together. We do have the Friends Tech fork is where you can buy shares of, cryptocoffee.pls. This is it right here. So do you want to explain what this is?
Yeah, so this is a really cool experiment, and I think a lot of applications that are being built on Web3 are really cool experiments to see if they have product market fit. So here you essentially have a rank of people that own a particular .pls domain name, and you could essentially go into Crypto Coffee, and I could essentially own shares of you pretty much, and I can buy and sell them. You could look at the history of who bought. So in this case, Remax bought 1 share for this amount of you, and this ultimately shows the rank of who's popular, who's not popular. So this.
No, wait a second. Do I get any? Do I get any of my own stock in this, or like, is it just other people?
To be honest, I don't know. I mean, like, I never looked into the Friend Tech application on Ethereum. I just it just passed by me, but I don't know if you get any benefit of you buying or selling or dumping on people. Yeah.
If you guys are buying shares of me, I want to cut, everybody. I want a slice of the action. No, see, I was gonna check out Friends Tech a while back. I just never got around to it. It seemed interesting, but then it kind of like fizzled out, and I was like, oh, maybe it was just a fad. Now there's a different one called what is it, Faraday, or God damn it, what is it called? Farcaster. So I don't know if this is anything like Farcaster. I don't know if Farcaster can plug in with .pns or .ens, but that seems like the new one that everyone's all over right now.
Yeah, that genre of applications, they're more like social platforms that tie in your domain name for utility. For instance, with Farcaster, this is just the front end that allows you to aggregate information. Just think of it as like Twitter, but allowing you to log in with your domain name and then also keeping all of the followers that you have and going into a different front end or into multiple different front ends, and while also seeing the information. So these are all really, really cool experiments that people are doing to see where the future of social DeFi is going. And I think these are all valid explorations, and it really boils down to which one has the highest adoptions, and then more importantly, the repeat users, right? Do we have users coming back on a weekly or monthly basis to continue using it?
Yep. So is Friends Tech really just people gambling on the popularity of certain other people, or like is there? I want to understand this better, and I don't want to write it off too quickly, but I just don't get like what people are bought. So there's 34 supply of cryptocoffee.pls. Other people can buy that. Like Riddick says, I think the person you're buying gets 2% of the fees. Oh, that's cool. So if I show this to other people, I get whatever fees. But what are you actually like? What are you buying? Are you just trying to bet on people's ranking? Like a popularity contest? Like, I mean,
I guess.
Kind of fun, I guess.
I guess I would love to kind of like learn more about it, especially the founder who built it or who forked this. because I believe there's also some additional tools you could build on top of friends.net to expand the functionality of it. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, something to look into. Look, I think Farcaster is the hot new thing. So if anybody wants to get some cross-chain integration, I think it's on the base blockchain right now, but they've got like a decentralized Discord, a decentralized Reddit, a decentralized Twitter. Yeah, that's again with the social media cryptos is a really hard thing to get right. Like Nostr was a big thing for a while, and I don't think that's like the Bitcoin Maxi version of Twitter. They never really take off. They never hit the critical mass that they need. But hey, maybe this time it's different.
Yeah, these are all experiments, right? And I think the incentive structure needs to be aligned for everyone to essentially start adopting it. But I think there's no doubt in my mind that over the next years we'll find something that actually hits product market fit and people come back on a weekly or daily basis and so on. These are all experiments, right? Like similar to the 200,000 other experiments that have been played out on the blockchain over the past years, right? Of various tokens, various applications, and so on. And I think this is really a net good to see which ones take off, right?
Yeah, I mean, every innovation, for the most part, is a net positive as long as it's not scam and stuff. This friend tech
I agree.
Riddick is educating us right now. So yeah, you can give exclusive content to people that own your shares. Kind of sounds like Patreon, right? Like Patreon is probably more financially stable at this current point in time for creators, but you know, I don't, because it's hard, right? You manage a YouTube channel, a Twitter account, maybe a Patreon, and then the more social medias that you as a single individual have to manage, like if I were to go in and try to give exclusive content to friends tech guys, I mean, it's just making more work for myself. But you know, it's like all what you make of it, right? So if we all decide that this is the cool new thing, maybe it will be. I don't necessarily want to be the guinea pig here and just like
and I think also for creators like you, it really depends of where the audience is, right? And it's like if there's a platform that is new and there's only 20 people on it, it might not be justifiable for you to put in the effort and so on to create exclusive content just for the 10 people there, right? So it's
and that's the chicken and egg problem with all of social, all new socials, right?
Exactly.
Well, cool. Have you seen any other cool apps regarding .pls?
So this one, and then these ones, these were the latest, right? I think friends.net, I believe they came onto my radar after we launched. So I'm not sure if they launched before, but I thought that's a cool idea. This in particular, that was just created 4 days ago. And then there's probably a couple other things that people are working on that we're not aware of. You know, I mean, it really boils down to like, hey, the documentation is there. You don't need any permission to use PLS names, so build away. You know, it's like do whatever you please with it, right? And we also have a dev chat where people are essentially, you know, talking about integrations and so on. But then, you know, our documentations are public, so people can build whatever they please with. Yeah,
it's definitely a lot of. This is like a base layer protocol to build on top of. And this is where we move into full on Web3, whereas crypto, what most people think about as crypto right now is a hybrid Web2 and Web3. You got centralized hosted websites that just have you can plug your MetaMask in and maybe, you know, click some functions that get transmitted to a blockchain. But when we're all going to IPFS sites that are all linked to the gateways that are linked to our PLS accounts, like it's going to be a fully crypto world where everybody owns all their own stuff. And it's going to be awesome. So it's exciting just to see. Go ahead.
Yeah, and again, we're still in the early beginnings, right? And actually, on that, to kind of like really put in some more bullishness about where we are. This is something I presented at the PulseChain tour, but I think for anyone that is new to PulseChain, this slide is super bullish. One, PulseChain is only 8 months old. We have 200 plus projects on it. There's no grant program like others where essentially a foundation, the Ethereum Foundation or the Solana Foundation pay developers to build on it. No, the majority of projects are built on PulseChain were built by individuals just want to contribute or create something that users can use, which is a big big difference to any other chains.
That is a big difference, but that one might there might be a grant program in the next year or so. Just gonna put that out there.
And I think that's
it's
a good
better
thing.
way than having to do sacrifice. Like everyone's been like just launching token sacrifices. So I mean, grant programs can actually be useful, but right now let's brag about it because it's just crazy that we've got so many builders with no formal grants. Like we don't need to pay people. Like they just come here because it's a better place.
And I think it got us here, and there's also a list of sacrifices that got us here. But I think for the next, for the next iteration of PulseChain, having a grant or having a cohesive structure that supports developers around the world is important, right? Because there's still a lot of developers that, considering launching on Ethereum versus launching on PulseChain, and making it easier for them and supporting them would help them to get into PulseChain, right? So, but it got us for the first 8 months to this point, which is awesome. And the future might look different. Almost three different stable coins that we'll get. Two, we currently have 2 native stable coins. One is coming soon. And here the point is also that there are some chains that don't even have a single stable coin, a native stable coin, right? We got that already within the first 8 months. 50,000 validators by 500 plus people globally. I think that's really awesome to see. And I think with the price increase, we'll probably have more and more people and more validators coming in the short and long term or midterm. Also, something that most people don't know, it's PulseChain is number 10 in total value locked.
I did not know that.
Yeah, again, 8 months, right? We're not talking about, hey, this is what PulseChain did in the past 5 years or so. No, 8 months. PulseX number 8 by volume, surpassing Trader Joe's on AVEX, which AVEX has been, and Trader Joe, they have been around for 2+ years. FUX, this second biggest DEX on PulseChain, number 41 globally on volume, just in the past 4 months since they launched, right? USDL, number 37 largest stable coin, also globally, not just within PulseChain, it's globally. And I think one thing that is really cool is that, and again, active wallets is some sort of a squishy metric because there's spoofing, you could essentially run bots and so on. But currently there's 727 active wallets, and they all 2x'd within the past 4 months, right? So obviously this is not the perfect metric, but just looking generally at all of this, it looks really, really bullish for PulseChain, for the builders, as well as individuals playing on PulseChain. And I think this overall has not been priced in yet by the larger ecosystem of crypto.
Yeah, we've got all the rails built. All the foundation is here. I mean, in just 8 months, think about how awesome that is, everybody. Like, you can't ignore this. I mean, this is up and coming faster than any other previous blockchain I've ever witnessed. Except maybe Solana, which I think a lot of that was marketing driven by the VCs that needed their exits, right? So like this is organic. It's really something special we got here.
Yep. And kind of like, obviously the rule number one, if the price pumps, that gets really attention, across the ecosystem. But then 2 is if you build out an ecosystem that has all of the bells and whistles, that also gets attention, right? While we cannot influence price unless we have $500 million, $50 million in our wallets and just buying it consistently, we can influence the ecosystem and the growth of the ecosystem and improve the user experience on all fronts to allow PulseChain to become more predominant and actually, change the perception of PulseChain within the crypto ecosystem.
Yeah, this ecosystem map looks healthier than, like, I was looking at Injective's ecosystem map the other day, and I was just like, damn, like that's the best they could do with all the VC funding, with all the people in the seed rounds and all the traditional finance bros. This ecosystem map looks healthier, it's thriving more. Sterling Green's talking about a grant program. I do agree that it is nice because it's like these people aren't on payroll with the grant program. They get paid once they achieve a milestone. Mm-hmm. So that's something cool that I think we can look forward to, doing it the right way, obviously. Not just having to make a sacrifice for every new project.
Yeah. And I think also people are a little bit fed up with all of the sacrifices and what happened after. But I think nonetheless, most products are here. It's a net good overall. And I think having some sort of cohesive structure around it, other than RH, to onboard new developers and new users is a net benefit.
Yeah, you know, a lot of developers come into blockchain from the traditional developer space, right? Like from developing for companies and stuff. So a grant program, it makes sense to them. Whereas, and you might get some smart people, but it doesn't always make sense to people. The token model of, hey, you can create your own token and fund
Yep.
your project that way.
Yep.
So to get more traditional devs in, yeah, I think a more traditional funding route makes sense.
Yep. And I think also something that we're currently exploring heavily is to make the developer onboarding easier. For instance, if I go to solana.com, there's a dev section with all of the bells and whistles that I need to know to get started in building, regardless if I get a grant or not. And I think here with PulseChain, all of the information is still sparsed out in the wild in various chats and various websites and so on. We try to kind of like consolidate that and allow developers to get started as soon as they can, right? With one platform where they have all of the resources that the community built, that the official websites built, and so on to get started. And I think that's also a big area of opportunity for our ecosystem.
Yeah, and the good thing is too, guys, a lot of the documentation that you might need, it's all Ethereum 2.0 documentation. It's almost the exact same on the core protocol level. You're still doing Solidity. You're still coding in the same like EVM environment. It's just a different RPC and stuff. And we've got a couple different RPC URLs now, so you connect to all those. And we've got people providing archival nodes and stuff like that to make your experience easier. So there's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, like the really nerdy stuff that it's not flashy on the front end, but it needs to happen, and it's all getting taken care of.
Exactly. And I think highlighting all of the tools that we've built around it, especially for developers, bringing them into one space, I think will just make the ease of use of building on PulseChain much easier. But we're getting there.
Well, let me ask you this. So what are you most excited about now that you've built, this is your baby, you've launched it into the wild? Is there any project you have your eye on? I guess whether or not that's related to PLS domains or maybe just stuff in general that catches your eye, because there's so much that comes my way nowadays. It's hard to like pick out. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll share my screen because many people are not really aware of this, but like since day one, one of the things that was really important for us is to get more adoption of all PulseChain projects, right? Or all PulseChain projects and just the entire ecosystem. So while we were building Pulse domains, we also started building a small little site called Pulse Coin List that kind of like started as like a price aggregator, as well as showing various stats.
Wait, this is also you?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I had no idea you're the same people. That's cool.
Yeah, so it kind of like first we had an airdrop checker, and then people really liked the site, and they're like, hey, can you guys build it out? And so we basically built out Pulse Coin List. And really the main point of this is to have our own platform to show the depth and breadth of what PulseChain has to offer. Obviously, you have that with all of the prices and the tokens that people can play around with and so on. But then more importantly, with the entire ecosystem, where you could essentially explore the entire ecosystem, go into applications, explore them and see it. Because if you ask a no coiner, hey, look into PulseChain, or even like someone in crypto, hey, look into PulseChain, they go on PulseChain and they're like, okay, what is it? Do we have any stats around this? What are the applications built on it, and so on? And here we pretty much have like one platform that shows them all the bells and features that PulseChain has to offer. And this was kind of like, and this is like an initiative that we continue to support to allow individuals to have an easier entrance into PulseChain and explore that. I mean, like one of the things is like, which is kind of like funny.
That's huge, guys. Yeah, I didn't know you were the same person. This website, for anyone listening that doesn't have this bookmarked, pulsecoinlist.com, just go bookmark it right now. These guys are, I guess, behind the Bridge Buddy bot, which is giving away 1,000 free pulse to people that bridge over for the first time. You've got the comparison charts, which I just used in a video the other day. I was using it to compare the ERC20s to the PRC20s.
Yep.
That's one of my favorite pages. But yeah, how much Pulse has been given away? I think you funded like thousands of wallets, or
so far we've given away 2 million, 2.6 million PLS overall, and I think the metric to really look at is the net new wallets that we onboarded, which is 2,662, right? And here we're talking about wallets that bridged in any token from Ethereum to PulseChain, and they did not have any PulseChain in their wallet as of now. We're not trying to give away free PLS to hexicans and pulsicans. It's like we already got that. We're good, but we really care about onboarding individuals that come from other chains into PulseChain and making the user experience as pleasant as possible, right? So if we even just look at this, and we launched this bot 46 days ago, but so if you want to bridge into PulseChain, you kind of like have to do two transactions. One, you have $100 USDT, you bridge it over to PulseChain. Great. Now you have 100 wrapped USDT on PulseChain, but you can't do anything because you don't have the native token. So this basically means you have to go back to the bridge and bridge in your wrapped PLS into PulseChain, right? And we just eliminate the second step. So basically, you just bridge in whatever stable or any token you want into PulseChain. Our bridge bot gives you 1,000 PLS. This allows you to do 10 to 15 transactions on PulseX or any other DEX. And at the very end, we're basically saving users a second gas fee that they have to do, as well as the waiting time for the bridge to bridge over the second transaction to PulseChain, right? So combined, we saved $70,000 in Ethereum gas fees, and then also, almost 1,200 hours of human lives waiting for the bridge to process. So yeah,
this bot right here is one of the biggest, and I think underappreciated, because it's just behind the scenes, right? But it's one of the biggest improvements to the overall user experience that we've had in the 8 months that PulseChain has existed, and it's quantifiable, and it's literally 2,662 individual people. And they have to be. It's hard to game this system because you have to pay an Ethereum gas fee to bridge over, right? So bots aren't just going to spam this up, because why would they pay a $10 gas fee just to get 1,000 pulse? These are people with the actual intent to use the blockchain. And it just takes one extra step out. So you can just bridge over Ethereum straight into PulseChain today. Go to bridge.pulsechain.com. You could swap that Ethereum directly for more pulse, and then you're good to go. You don't have to do all this complicated crap. So things are getting so much better than they were like 2 months ago.
Exactly, and I don't think any other chain offers something like this, right? And
Not that I know of.
Yeah, same. We'll look through it, and there's no other chain that offers that. And again, also a big shout out. I mean, like, we were planning to fund it for forever, but the community stepped up and donated to the bridge bot. So we're good for I don't know how many years on onboarding users, but ultimately a big shout out to everyone that donated some PLS to this address. We're good for quite some time now. So, but yeah, this is ultimately a product or a feature that has utility, allows people to bridge back into PulseChain, makes the user experience really nice, and the incentive structure makes sense. We don't have any bots running, wanting to get 1,000 PLS because it just makes no sense for them, right? Like paying $20 in bridge fees just to get 1,000 PLS doesn't make sense yet.
Yeah. One day, who knows, right? When Pulse is $1,
exactly.
You might be happy you did, but yeah, this, and on top of the airdrop checker, right? That's one of the most important things for onboarding. Everybody wants to see how much free money they have. Ethereum users, if you're listening, you're holding any coins before May 13th, you've got free money. Check it out right here.
And this was kind of like the first feature that we built for Pulse CoinList, because when PulseChain launched, we just wanted all of the ETH guys to come over, and we're like, hey, we just built this just as a net good for the community to dump their copies over to PulseChain. No problem, just dump everything, but at least you're in PulseChain, right? And it kind of like started with the PulseChain airdrop checker. Now we renamed it to the balance checker. So it basically, if you have any tokens on PulseChain, it basically shows you the entire list of all of the tokens that you have, even the ones that have low liquidity. We're working on a version 2 right now that will come out the next couple of days, that will show even more tokens overall.
Wow. Yeah. And that comparison page is huge as well, just because a lot of these coins are not worth nothing, right? And some are worth more than others. But for example, like Cult is actually worth kind of a lot on the PRC20.
Exactly. And I think here we have the comparison chart, right, where you could essentially look at the value of the ERC20 versus the PRC20, and you could essentially figure out like which one is over or undervalued across those. So let me check here.
Yeah, I like to get rid of the outliers though, personally.
Yeah, we'll yeah, this section also gets a revamp, and we're gonna clean this up a little bit more. But here you could basically see ICOSA on Ethereum versus ICOSA on PulseChain, and the price discrepancy here, including Love, HEX, and so on. So yeah, this is kind of like an easy way to look at the same token on two different chains and the value of each on each chain, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really easy way for people to start to get familiar with what's happening. With the actual system state was split. Like it's an actual fork of Ethereum with all the copies, all your balances, all your smart contracts. And the crazy thing is, people are still trading them. Like people just pump CRO token. CRO did like 100x or something. I don't know. It was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we still see people enjoying it. You know, so it's like, yep.
What is that? 6x.
Yeah, and the thing is here also, we currently have 35,000 tokens, right? That we're showcasing, right? And as long as you're traded on PulseX V1 or V2, you're being shown here. Seems like people still trade them. You know, people still trade the copies and any other tokens and so on. So you have a lot of awesome tokens here, but you also have a lot of tokens that have zero liquidity and so on. So always be cautious of what you trade and so on. You know, this whole website is made to support the RH ecosystem, as well as projects with product market fit and so on, just to bring PulseChain forward and allow users to have like a cohesive understanding and view of the entire PulseChain ecosystem. Yep.
Cool. And I'm going to assume that the next version of the sacrifice checker might have better prices, because Soylent Green is saying his tokens were actually worth more than the checker said that they were.
Yeah. So the next version of the price checker will have, because there's a lot of moving parts, especially if you're dealing with, you know, DEXs on PulseChain, DEXs on Ethereum, and you're trying. So there are a lot of smaller parts that need to be ironed out. So we're trying to, you know, squash as many bugs or inconsistencies as possible. We're just working on multiple fronts, just particularly with Pulse CoinList, but we try our best to like iterate over time, week by week, roll out new features. In many instances, they're not even seen, but in the background to, you know, have better features or more accuracy and so on. So yeah, so all of this is coming. It's just like a time of product development and you know, making it basically making it more accurate in every aspect that we have. Yeah.
Well, I want to say thanks for all the work that you've done. Just without any upfront payment, the amount of value that's been added just by this website alone, not only Pulse Domains. I hope you guys are making something from Pulse Domains, because you definitely deserve it, right? That's a lot of hard work. So thank you.
Yeah, I think you know, we've been early in the community. We've been early in HEX and so on. And I think Pulse CoinList, similar, like the ethos behind Pulse CoinList is bring more adoption to PulseChain. The ethos behind Pulse Domains is like, hey, this is a utility that has product market fit, that also brings more utility to a chain, and this is it, right? So we're not playing the short-term game of like, you know, making a couple bucks. No, we essentially have a long breath. We want this chain to succeed with utility, with attention, with better and good UI for people to explore. And I think, you know, as long as we can achieve that, we're all winning in all fronts, because PulseChain in that case has more visibility, more utility, more applications, and ultimately more users using that chain, right? And Pulse Domains and Pulse CoinList are kind of like under the same ethos of building awesome products that, you know, newbies as well as, you know, non-PulseChain individuals can use to explore PulseChain, and similar for all of the hexicans and pulsicans. You know, this is built for us, you know, to bring more visibility to all of us.
It's really big picture thinking, and a lot of people it's really fun to play with the meme coins. Okay, I love watching random stuff pumping all the time, but we got to realize the amount of money not in PulseChain versus the amount of money in PulseChain.
Yeah.
You're seeing a lot of these meme coins pumping, and it's all fun and games, but these are really just the ratios of existing coins within the ecosystem. sloshing around between, okay, maybe some of that Pulse money is going into these other coins. It's fun. I'm not saying it's bad. It makes it sticky. People can make some gains if they're early, or if they're, clever. There's a lot of cool DeFi protocols to park and make yield, right? Yield farms and other stuff like that. But really, onboarding and adoption of new people that aren't already in it, that should be the top priority, I think. And these kind of websites are for the new guys.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think we saw that also with, with HEX, one cohesive community rallying up for one particular coin, in this case HEX. With PulseChain, PulseX, and Ink token, you have slightly a split. And now on PulseChain, you have a split of, that is 30,000, 35,000 coins deep, right? And you pretty much have the good, the bad, and the ugly within that, right? But nonetheless, it's like, obviously trade with caution and so on. And I don't want to give, any bias towards one or another token, even though we're really big PulseChain and HEX fans and PulseX fans and RH fans. But ultimately, you have a little bit for everyone. You have something for the NFT guys. We have the NFT marketplaces. We have something for the traders, the leverage trading platforms. We have something for the meme coiners. It's like, have a blast. You want meme coins? Don't worry. There's plenty on PulseChain, right? And essentially any way we can attract new individuals to PulseChain with various styles of communication, various attributes to get their attention is welcomed. But again, the net goal is to get more visibility into PulseChain and so on, and bring people from any other chain with whatever communication they prefer, be it NFTs, be it privacy, be it social apps, and so on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need both, I think, is more of the story. You need people that make it sticky and fun and all different niches, right? You need the memes, you need the NFTs, because that appeals to different people, and they all do their part collectively. They have this emergent property of, there is something for everybody. They do appeal to everybody. Whether if you hate DeFi but you love NFTs, like go play around on the 8 NFT protocols that we have. We've got so much cool stuff, and like we have unique, innovative NFTs, right? Like new kind of composable NFTs are coming out.
Yeah, the Tang Gang is really pushing that side really hard, and I love seeing that, right? And I mean, like, I would love for other NFT communities to look to the PulseChain NFT community and saying, hey, they're really pushing the edge here of like really cool use cases, and it seems like we have that community of really experimenting, pushing new things on the NFT front, and I think this is really, really awesome to see.
Yeah, I like when stuff comes along and it makes me reimagine my idea of what I thought was possible because it was easy to look at pet rocks, right? Or whatever, the ether rocks, and just be like, that is so freaking stupid, But then you've got use cases where you've got even the heart heads, right? Which is like, you can buy individual outfits for your little Richard Hart character. And it's like, it makes you realize, same thing with Pulse domains. It's like, oh, wow, we can do something that's a little bit paradigm shifting here. And it's not just, it changes the whole game for everyone. Hex Kong, really quick, want to say thank you. Thank you for the tip. Appreciate that. Nice. Top hat emoji. Good to see you.
Here we go. Next time, use Crypto Coffee's pls.fy link. So in this case, YouTube does not get any of the cut for the $5.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Don't let the feds take 40%. I need that extra $2.
Exactly.
Cool, man. Yeah, I love this .fyi thing as well. So it's a really easy, like, hey, you want to send me a tip? Just go to this website, right? And it links to all my links. It's basically like a link tree, but it's more of a crypto version of that.
Exactly. And again, we will be making improvements to this front end, right? 1, dark mode, fancy design will come. 2, NFT collection, so it displays your entire NFT collections, plus has a new slideshow of showing all of your NFTs in a fancy way, but then also allowing people to have net new links very, very similar to Linktree to be posted underneath. So all of it is coming, right? And this is ultimately the first version, and we will just iterate based on what the community wants with their pls.fyi profiles and so on, and really improve upon this experience as we currently have.
Yeah, while you're on NFTs, I want to mention Space Diamond just brought this point up about inscriptions. Okay, so you've got NFTs which they point to some data, and Richard likes to say there may or may not be hosted in a database somewhere.
Yep.
We've got inscriptions now, which are kind of like Bitcoin ordinals, right? Where imagine an NFT, but all the metadata is actually just on the blockchain within the blockchain. I believe that's what Pulse domains are too, right? Because all the metadata for all my links, is it not inscribed actually on the blockchain?
So it is pretty much all of the data here, like all of them, you are saving them into that NFT on the blockchain for anyone to view, right? So it's like these are the records that you're pretty much setting into that NFT, right? And those cannot be changed. They're pretty much, if you look into that NFT on BlockScan, open it up, use a hex decoder, you pretty much see all of that information that you saved to one particular .pls in there. Yeah.
But you can edit these and then you can re-index them. So would you say that Pulse domains are inscriptions, or are they just something else?
Well, they're slightly different. I think inscriptions overly were made on Bitcoin because of their limitations of it, and now they're being brought onto EVM chains. So basically the limitation that Bitcoin had, the same limitation as, this same workaround is brought to EVM chains such as Ethereum or PulseChain. However, with 1155 NFTs that we have on Ethereum or PulseChain, in this case with the Pulse domains, you could do much more than just inscribing into it, right? So that's why it is similar but slightly different, right? In other words, same but different.
Yeah, I mean, because it is a 1155 NFT, right?
Exactly.
So, we do have a marketplace. It's called plsc.market, and that's like an inscriptions market that just recently came to my attention, and I'm like, oh wait, these are not the same as NFTs, but these are still digital, kind of like artwork and stuff.
And I think these are all awesome approaches on bringing more utility and use cases and experiments to PulseChain, right? So I think all of them are really cool and really valuable. And it's all about like, hey, there are a trillion ways on using the blockchain. Which ones is, really cool, has adoption, has utility, ease of use, and so on. And I think we're just all in this big wave of experimenting and creating the future of blockchain and applications on PulseChain in this case. Yeah. Also, for anyone that has a project, feel free to list it here. Totally free. We're not charging you anything for it. It's ultimately like submit your project here. It will be listed in the next couple of days or so. Give us some time. But yeah, so we really want to, like, even the inscription or NFT marketplaces or anything, feel free to submit your project. So we essentially have it listed here for others to explore and also bring more visibility to your application, and let users basically explore it. Because right now it's like mainly in Telegram chats and then also on Twitter, but it's not in search. It's not on the platform that basically combines all of the applications. So feel free to get listed here fully for free. Just give us a couple of days for the listing process.
I'm sure you're busy, but no, good. Get your website ranked at least. Get your project ranked in here. When you're on more search engines, you're just more eyeballs for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many projects when we look at search traffic where, let's say, I don't want to pick one, but let's say, I don't know, Kushcoin, right? We come up as probably the worst example. We come up as their first results, right? So, but again, this allows Kushcoin to find their own community and let others to explore that. So there's a couple of benefits around that. And then one thing that we haven't really touched on, the ability to create with the 1155 NFTs, you essentially can create subdomains for your entire community, right? So if Crypto Coffee wants to give out a subdomain for anyone that donates to him, he can do so by creating a subdomain fully for free. Send that subdomain to them, and now they pretty much are the owner of a .pls name. And talking about fully decentralization is like, you as the main holder still have the ability to modify subdomains, but you could also essentially burn your permission to modify any of the subdomains. So you could essentially go into here, again, please read our documentation around how to use them, but you could essentially say, hey, I'm giving up my permission to modify any subdomains or even transfer them from the main domain. and making each subdomain fully decentralized. As pretty much the main domain name.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. That's another feature that today I learned, we've got kind of a tough question here. So, the fact, and this is a very good question. Hopefully you can answer this, because these domains need to be re-registered annually. Unlike ENS domains, right? Is it true that the owner of the domains is technically the protocol rather than the individual?
Yeah, so in this case, it's a smart contract that owns all of this subdomains and resolves for them, and you're pretty much you're buying you're buying a .pls domain name, and then for that time period, you own that. And you could essentially, so going back into the model of yearly ownership versus owning forever, you're basically owning that subdomain under that master contract that is also on chain, right? And that's the only way to build for annual renewals. If we went the route of you own it forever, it will be pretty much just an NFT that you can mint, and that's pretty much it, and you just own it.
So, but the owner of the protocol, are they able to do anything? Like, are there any admin keys where they could forward it to a different?
So we have, that's a really good question. So we have the ability to make changes to the affiliate program. So for instance, in order to continue to innovate the Pulse domains name service, we had to have, similar to any DEXs and so on, we had to have certain permissions, which is one, we could essentially change the affiliate payout. We could also turn off the referral program off. The other permission that we have is price changes. So we could essentially change the price for a particular domain name, as well as change the oracle. But other than that, we cannot do anything else. We can't take your domain name and resolve it for a different address or any of that. We cannot. And one thing to make sure that everyone is aware of, we also did an additional audit on top. So ENS went through probably over this time over 6 different audits. So what you could do is also check out our audit from CertiK that we did on top of that kind of like goes into all of the things that we can and cannot change, which in this case include the affiliate program, price changes, and oracle changes, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, that's great to know. So it still is not confiscatable by the protocol owner. Protocol owner has very limited permissions, as a lot of DeFi protocols do.
Yeah. I think the worst case, and really like to mention that, right? The worst case will be if for a decentralized naming provider, if someone could resolve this name to a different address, right? And this protocol, especially also has the way ENS build it, you just cannot change it. I cannot change this name resolving to a different address, which will be kind of like the biggest vector of attack. And that's just a permission or even a feature that we don't have, or no one has. ENS, including us, we just don't have that feature, which I believe will be like the biggest the biggest fault, I would say. But yeah, we don't have that permission. No one has the permission, even including ENS. And
so it's just on a timer then. So after 365 days, it's just time locked and it goes back to the protocol for the auction.
Exactly. It's fully on. Exactly. So there's no human intervention needed, right? So let's say this name runs out, it automatically goes into, based on the contract, into an auction. And it's not an auction on an NFT marketplace. It's our own auction that is housed and orchestrated by the contract. And it basically does this. It basically takes the domain name and says, okay, this domain name is now worth $1 million. And then over the next 30 days, it goes down to $5 back to its original price. So it's called a reverse auction. So this ultimately allows anyone in decentralized fashion to buy that domain name at the price they valued it. So if someone buys it on day 1, it's $1 million. If someone buys it on day 29, it's maybe, or like the second before it gets renewed, they're buying it at $5.
Wow. So is it just linear then for 1 month?
It's not linear. It's being updated on every 6 hours, I believe, or every 4 hours. It's being updated. So you basically, and we'll probably share some some screenshots around that. But it'll and we will have it in a year basically for the majority of domain names. But you can basically see it's not linear. It starts off really, really high and then plummets down to like I think the last 7 days are all under, I think, $100, and then it just goes down, and further down to $5. Yeah,
that seems fair, because I mean, if somebody was just waiting for it and really, really wanted it, they'd have to pay way more than anybody else. But they could just wait a short time.
Yeah, exactly. So given if we see the nature of domain names generally, especially also with ENS domain names, there are some domain names that are worth 20, 30, 40K. Imagine if you're the owner and you just forget about it. And you discover that, hey, this domain name is on auction and the owner doesn't know. So now you could essentially buy it for way less, 5 days before it runs out and resell it, for instance, right? And it boils down to like, the original domain name owner just forgot about it. It's his, and again, and there's nothing we can do, nothing the domain name owner can do other than renewing. If he renews, it gets removed from auction, by the way.
And I think we're going to see a lot of that after the first year. Just a lot of people that were scooping these up that just forgot about them. It's just that's always going to happen until the end of time.
Exactly.
Has a really good,
and that's why we have. I think we have. Where is it? I think on the more, let me see. Here we go. Set a reminder. This downloads a calendar invite alerting you about the grace period and when essentially you have to renew. So you could essentially do it here or essentially extend it. You can also extend the domain names for other people as well. So I can go to Crypto Coffee and pay his domain name for the next 10 years and do it from my wallet. So it's basically you can do it for others as well.
Yeah, that's a nice feature. The reminder is a nice feature as well. Ji-Young says that subdomains opens up a new kind of a use case for memberships. So that's an interesting concept. I haven't thought about it that way.
It is, and I think there's so many features that have not yet been discovered or implemented yet, right? So even like talking about friends, right? ENS has been around for quite a while because Friendtech did their fork, right? But then Friendtech now allowed this new way of using using ENS domain names, and similar to subdomains, right? We see organizations using it, or DAOs using subdomains, or even like membership sites where only certain members that own a subdomain have access to an NFT and can only purchase it, and no one else. So yeah, it opens up for a multitude of possibilities, and many that we haven't even explored ourselves internally, or even being recognized in the crypto space yet.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'll wrap up on this last question. Have we ever seen any interesting sales? Like, has anybody paid a high price for any one of these yet?
There's I'm not too often on all of the secondary NFT marketplaces and for how much they sell, but I'm aware of one that was quite interesting. So we've done since we announced Pulse domains almost a year and a half ago, we allowed anyone in the PulseChain and HEX community to claim their name. And also, this was also extended to Hexologist. So we reached out to Hexologist multiple times. We did a couple of streams, tagged them, and so on. But I guess he was too busy, or basically there were too many DMs in his mailbox, so he did not get the chance to claim his domain name. So someone else bought it. I think the seller that sold that NFT sold it at, I think, 50x or 100x of what they bought it for, right? And I believe Zhuang bought it for Hexologist and gifted it to a Hexologist as their domain name. Yeah. So so that's like one. Yep. That's like one. And again, I've seen this a couple of times where Hexicans went out of their way, either minted the domain name for their fellow Hexicans and gifted them to them, or in this case with Zhuang Wang, who essentially bought it off on the secondary market and gifted it to hexologists.
Damn,
and again,
well,
thank you so much for doing
shout
that.
out to Young out there.
Yep.
You might be the highest bidder currently for a Pulse domain, but I'm sure Hexo appreciates it. So that's good stuff. Look, dude, we're at like an hour and 15 minutes. I learned a lot from this stream. I want to thank you for your time and all the effort that you've been putting in, just for, just as a labor of love too. And it's a huge service that you've done for the whole entire community. So I'll let you shill anything that you might want to shill, and then we could wrap this up.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've done enough shilling on this stream.
Whole stream, yeah.
Pulse domains, if you're into domain names, Pulse coin list, if you want to explore the entire ecosystem, token rankings, various stats, balance checker, or if you want to just onboard someone and they want to see 22 different ways on how to buy PLS tokens from various exchanges, centralized, decentralized, and so on. Yeah, check that out. I think this is more enough shilling that I've done now for now. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Guys. Well, go like, subscribe to Pulse Domains. And if you're not already following, obviously like, subscribe, cryptocoffee.pls.
Exactly.
Feel free to donate or whatever. But thanks for coming, everybody. See you on the next one.
Thank you so much.